Welcome back to DIY Wood Revival. Today I'm going to show you how to turn this vacuum into a dust collection system for my workshop. Let's get started. So everything I need for this project's right here. We've got a vacuum, a bit of silicone to seal everything up, a few different adapters to make everything fit together, a few pipe clamps, a 20 litre bucket from Bunnings, a bit of PVC pipe and some hose. Let's get into it. The top is going to be where the vacuum attaches to. And to attach that, that's the connector for the hose of the vacuum. And then this little adapter, I'll cut a hole in here. That'll poke through, sit there. I can just pop that on every time I use the vacuum. To cut the hole in the top, I tried a force snip it. Turned out this didn't work too well, so I finished it off with a blade. If you're a hobby woodworker like myself, and you don't want to buy a big fancy dust collection system, then this simple setup could be for you. Once I cleaned up the hole, I pushed the fitting through and then sealed it with a bit of silicone so I get as much suction as possible. Okay, next step, I'm going to cut a section of this PVC pipe and cut a hole in the side of the bucket here. I'll feed that through, pointing it slightly down so that it creates a bit of a cyclone effect, and then all the debris ends up on the bottom and the air can be sucked out the top into the vacuum. See what happens. Turns out hole saw cuts better than forcing bit on plastic buckets. Next I pass the PVC pipe through the hole to gauge how it will fit and how long it needs to be. And then I cut a section off using my miter saw. To attach the pipe, I used a screw that went through the bucket and into the pipe. This actually works surprisingly well, it's super sturdy with just one screw. And again, I sealed it all up with some silicone. To attach the hose, I used a combination of adapters and hose clamps to make sure it all holds together. I also added adapters to my table saw and miter saw, this way I can quickly move between tools. I got these adapters from my local hardware store. They're really handy, you just trim them to whatever size you need with a knife. Once it was all put together, I gave it a test run. It's fair to say it has plenty of suction. The moment I blocked the air intake, the bucket collapsed. With the bucket complete, it was time to make the cart for it to fit to. I wanted something mobile that doesn't take up too much space and can neatly hold all the fittings that come with the vacuum. I'll be making the cart out of 12mm plywood, mainly because I had some lying around, but also because 16mm would just be excessive and too heavy. You'll see me using a track with my miter saw to rip this section of plywood down. If you want to see how I put it together, there's a link in the description or in one of the corners. To avoid making a boring ply box, I gave the vertical sections a taper for more character. For the horizontal sections, I ripped two identical squares, then took one that will be the base and found the center and marked out where the wheels of the vacuum will sit. I could have removed the wheels and screwed the vacuum to the base, but I think it's much more practical to be able to remove the vacuum whenever you want without having to pull out a screwdriver. To cut the holes for the wheels to slot into, I used a hole saw. It ripped through this plywood easy as. When it was finished, I gave it a test fit. This will definitely hold the vacuum in place. I trimmed the corners with the jigsaw because I know if I don't, I'll end up copping one right in the shin. To finish the base, I attached these caster wheels. Two have brakes so the cart doesn't fly across my workshop. I think they have a 40 kg load limit, so they're plenty strong enough. I probably could have gone a size down, but I thought the smaller ones would be more likely to jam on things. For the top section where the bucket will sit, I needed to cut a hole that was slightly bigger than the base of my bucket. So I marked out a circle, then I used a drill with a drill bit that was slightly bigger than my jigsaw blade. If you take your time, you can get decent cuts with a jigsaw. Good enough for a dust collector anyway. The bucket fits sweet as, so I cleaned up all the edges with a mouse sander and 120 grit. Next was assembly. I pre-drilled and countersunk all the holes, and then I glued and screwed all the joints. There's not a lot of contact area between these pieces, so I made sure to use plenty of glue. If you want to see how I put the rest of my workshop together, have a look through my other videos. If you've got any ideas on other projects that will help improve my workshop, let me know in the comments. Once I had the 4 main sections together, I threw in a couple of stretchers on the back to make it a bit more sturdy. The top section looked a bit weird with such a large overhang, so I trimmed off a piece and then took the corners off to match the base. So the vacuum attachments have a home, I cut a couple of holes in the top for them to slot into. Look at that, functional as, and plenty more space to add more attachments. To finish off the cart, I attached a hook to the side for the hose to hang on. So I thought I was almost finished, and then I realised the feed-in tube is going to stop the bucket from sitting flush. If I thought about that earlier, I could just cut the hole smaller so the bucket catches halfway down, but that's fine. I'll just add a couple of blocks to hold the bucket up, and it'll be sweet as. And there it is, a practical, functional, affordable dust collector, and it looks pretty cool too. You might as well have a test hone to make sure it's all good. And there you have it. That's pretty good, I think. All the heavy stuff's fallen to the bottom. There's obviously going to be a lot of the finer stuff still runs through into the vacuum, but majority of it, 99%, it's fallen straight to the bottom of the bucket and ready to go, and that's easy to empty and go again, saving heaps of vacuum bags. Yeah, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe for more DIY wood revival content. Thanks for watching.